Hi, my name is Caitlin Freeze, and I'm going to be introducing African American history around the world again. And I have my guest speaker,
I'm Kayla Ball.
and she's going to be introducing one of our most famously known presidents that we know today.
I chose to do Barack Obama, who was born August 4th, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he was the first black president in the United States. He was also the first sitting U.S. president to publicly support same sex marriage, and he attended Columbia University and Harvard University.
Alrighty, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Hi, my name is Caitlin Freeze. I'm going to be host of African American Culture Around the World, and since it's Black History Month, we're going to be talking about a few very historical characters that have helped, like, with civil rights movements and just everything in general, help the world change to be better it is today. So we're going to be talking about a project highlighting characters and just historical figures, and I have Coach Whalen with me, and he's going to introduce one of our most popular people we have today.
I think a good one historically would be Jesse Owens. And those of you that don't know, Jesse Owens was from Alabama and went to Ohio State University. And Dr. Stargell would appreciate that. He was known as the Buckeye Bullet. But he went to the 1936 Olympics, which was being held in Berlin, Germany. This was right before World War II. Adolf Hitler was hosting it. It was supposed to show how the Aryan race was so dominant. And Jesse Owens shows up and in Adolf Hitler's face wins 4 gold medals for the United States. And afterwards, in his life, Jesse was a champion for civil rights for not only Americans, but people of color around the world. So you can't talk about Black History Month without speaking about Jesse Owens.
Yeah, I guess he was like the first athlete that like helped with civil rights movements, and he changed the world to where it is today. And I'm glad that he was one of our first representatives just to help around the world. Um, I'm glad we had a chance to talk to Coach Whalen about him coaching and just people in general for Black History Month. We're gonna leave it to go to another person. Have a good day, guys. Thank you for joining us. Hi, welcome back to Black History Around the World. My name is Caitlin Freeze, and I'll be your host. And I have a guest speaker here named
Miss Mock.
and she's going to be talking about Ida B. Wells, an African American historical figure, and she's going to be talking about majority of the history she created.
So Ida B. Wells, she was born in Mississippi into slavery. When she was pretty young, she got freed. She moved up from Mississippi to Memphis. She took summer classes at Fisk University in Nashville. She taught in Memphis. There was a lot of lynching going around after the closing of the Civil War and Reconstruction. There was a lot of violence, and she actually started writing a lot about lynching and why it was mainly black men who were being lynched. And instead of it, being for a crime, it was a reason. It was to intimidate black people who were slowly starting to become powerful, because they're going from, property to now being people. People don't like that. She got run off from Memphis, and so she started writing from New York. She traveled over to England. She's wrote in 2 newspapers. She's published. She's an incredible writer. She's also pretty outspoken for black women, women's suffrage. At the time, a lot of suffragettes were focused on white women, but she was always there ensuring that black women also got a voice, which, women got the right to vote in 1920. Black women weren't really promised that until the Voting Act of 65. So she's honestly just amazing. She's a trailblazer in both, civil rights and, women's suffrage. She also helped co-found the NAACP. God, she's just incredible. So.
Yeah, she sounds like a actually like amazing woman. I'm glad that we had a historical figure, Ida B. Wells, to be an active journalist. I'll definitely try and read up on her books and newspapers. She sounds amazing. That's it for today. I'm gonna enjoy seeing y'all next time. Okay, bye. Hi, my name is Caitlin Freeze. We're back with Black History Around the World. I have a guest speaker here, Coach Peterson. He's going to be talking about Jackie Robinson from history. He's one of our famous baseball players, and he's going to be telling us some details on him.
My name's Coach Peterson. was born in Elizabethton, Tennessee. Went to college to get a history degree. Also played a stint of professional baseball. Played 4 years of college too at University of Tennessee. So for me, baseball is kind of significant. It has been in my life. Jackie Robinson is one of the most famous guys that we know of, especially African American history. So I get to teach about him a lot as well as we get through the civil rights movements and things. But Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for baseball. He's the first African American to be integrated into Major League Baseball, which led to more African Americans that really progressed the game a lot, as well as moving into Latino Americans, and people from all walks, cultures, and ethnicities. Honestly, but without Robinson's start, I feel like baseball would have took a lot longer to integrate, and the history of it wouldn't be as rich that it is now. So,
I do know that Jackie Robinson was considered one of the most respectful African Americans that joined baseball, and I do know that even the movie that they casted about Jackie Robinson, they portrayed him very well. All the history about him, he's a very well respected man because he was never rude towards policemen or officers or just anyone of the opposite race.
No, he didn't necessarily agree with the protests of civil rights. He didn't really incorporate himself with that. He kind of stayed to himself and kept his head down and done his job baseball-wise. But post-baseball career, obviously very big advocate and pushing civil rights. Still, once he got out of baseball, you still were dealing with some forms of quote-unquote Jim Crow that was unlawful pushing in the South of the United States, and he was a very big advocate for that. I'm trying to think of other guys. He was a very big advocate of John Lewis. He was a huge fan of John Lewis. Malcolm X, obviously, going on throughout history. Jackie Robinson, even going into Hank Aaron, who's another African-American baseball player, it was huge. Willie Mays, guys like that all kind of stuck together and backed and supported progressive movement unviolently, I guess, more into a kind of peaceful way. I teach on W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington all the time, and there was massive difference in their backgrounds, but there was a common goal, obviously desegregation, free African American states. But there were two opposite approaches in terms of how they went about it. And it's kind of the same way with Robinson and the rest of the African American Major League Baseball athletes, how they kind of chased after that as activists towards a better life for African Americans.
Yeah. I definitely think now that after we have had so many representatives of African American culture, helps show that if they spoke up, they could make a difference. And now, with the world we have today, it's changed, and I really do hope that it gets better and better, to where no one has to deal with feeling like they're indifferent or just not where they belong. Everyone here is great, and I'm glad that we get to celebrate Black History Month at Volunteer like this.
I think it's your all's job. It's your all's voice, next generation's voice. I mean, I've got family, my nephews and nieces are African American, and I tell them the same thing I'm saying now. It's your all's voice that change the next generation, can change the hearts and minds of people. So it's very important that you all exercise that right.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think we need to extend our knowledge on everything that they went through, so that we don't have to feel like we're treating them like the same thing they went through.
I agree.
Well, we're going to wrap that up on Black History Around the World. This is Peterson. We're both going to say goodbye for today. Hi, I'm the host, Caitlin Fries, for African American History Around the World, and today I have a guest speaker,
Oleander Artemis.
And we're going to be talking about a very historical figure from African American history, and she's going to introduce them and tell us a few details about them.
I chose Dr. Mae Jemison. Dr. Mae Jemison is from Decatur, Alabama, and attended both Stanford and Cornell universities. And in 1992, she made history by being the first African American woman to travel into space. In the Endeavour shuttle, she made 127 orbits around the Earth in 8 days.
What?
Yeah.
That's actually insane. I actually didn't know that. That's a lot of, around the world. That's actually insane. That's a lot. Alrighty. Well, I'm glad she showed us a few facts about an African American historical figure, especially a African American female, who clearly made history. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Caitlin Fries. We'll be introducing Black history around the world. I am my guest speaker,
Mr. Taylor.
and he'll be introducing a very famous country singer, and we're gonna let him do that now.
All right, I want to introduce very famous, classic country singer by the name of Charlie Pride. I'm a huge, huge fan of classic country. Not so much the new country. I don't know if you can really call it country. But classic country, Charlie Pride was the first big African-American star in country music. He was born in Mississippi, eventually would reside in Texas, became a member of the Grand Ole Opry in 1993. He was the second African-American to play at the Grand Ole Opry, behind a fellow by the name of DeFord Bailey, who played in 1927. He was the first black African-American person to play at the Grand Ole Opry. He played the Delta Blues harmonica instrument, but Charlie Pride was the second. And he sold more records at one point in the 70s than Elvis and John Denver. So he was huge for country music. Two of his probably more famous songs were Kiss an Angel, Good Morning. Look it up. Google it. Use your Google machines. YouTube it, whatever. Kiss an Angel, Good Morning, and Anybody Going to San Antonio. Look them up. I bet you have heard them somewhere. But we lost Charlie Pride in 2000 thanks to COVID. But he was a true legend for country music.
I'm very glad to know that we had a very famous African-American country singer, and I definitely have heard his music before, definitely on the radio and just everywhere in general. He's a very, very good singer, and I definitely hope y'all look him up because he's very good. And I'm very glad we had Mr. Taylor introduce him for us. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Hello everyone, I'm Mrs. Runyon, the agriculture teacher here at Volunteer High School. For Black History Month, I want to highlight Karen Washington. So I have some notes here that I want to speak about her. She is the owner and co-founder of Black Urban Growers and the owner of Rise and Root Farm. She is known for urbanizing farming and giving access to food in communities that are lower income. So she has spent decades on food systems and how food systems can become fair. She focuses on giving communities control on where and how their food is grown and how it's shared and how they can share among each other. So food and agriculture continue to shape the future, and so does Karen. Thank you.
Richard McGinnis, Volunteer High School criminal justice teacher. My influential person for Black History Month would be Bass Reeves, a former U.S. Marshal. He was appointed in 1873, served for 32 years, had over 3,000 confirmed arrests. He was very good in his tactical and policing methods. He was a master of disguise. He conducted a lot of long-range reconnaissance missions by himself. He was very ethical in his decisions. He actually arrested his own son when he was charged with murder. He left a lasting impact on law enforcement from the way he handled himself, the way he conducted himself. He's a very good example of what a U.S. Deputy Marshal should be. And also, I served time in the military, and my U.S. Joint Chief of Staff was Colin Powell, one of the greatest military minds, in my opinion. And he was a black individual I looked up to, well respected, well thought, very, very great individual that left a lasting impact on the United States military. So that is my two individuals that I look up to, Bass Reeves and Colin Powell.